morning, Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, and all of America. I'm Dr. Barbara Schneider, here live today, Saturday, March 19th, 2022, on Radio Free America.
That's it.
Yep, we honor in the United States the right to free speech, the U.S. Constitution, and everything that's made America great. I want to thank Dr. Michael Katchmar for this incredible studio I'm in, and Jeremy.
It's kind of lifeguardish looking.
Yeah, well, Jeremy mentioned that I was a technophobe, so I could never, ever set this up, but it is a privilege to be here because that enables me to talk to you about medicine and politics and the truth.
Good morning, Barbara. Good morning, Liz. Our babes are starting to pile in here. And we love you guys. We love every day, every Saturday when you wake up early enough to listen to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining me because time is the most valuable possession we have. And I thank you for spending your time with me. So in our quest to take America back and make her great again, the first thing we have to do is patronize our local businesses. Okay, so let me tell you who we need to patronize. TSF Contracting, that's the lime green can man plus one blue can for me. Okay, you got garbage, he's got a can. The service is impeccable.
Oh, sure is.
You can call him or book online. Lakeside Diner, Brian Brandisi stood up to our fascist governor and who tried to take away the right to earn a living.
No, I just want to interject. The lime green can man for our Barbara babes, if you don't know, that is our very own Sean from our chat. That's Dr. Schneider's son. So if you do need garbage cans, hey, he's part of the family. So give him a call.
So Frank and Maria's on Fisher Boulevard for your hair needs. Allure Salon on Route 37 near Fisher for other beauty needs. Ken's Hardware. I was just there this week getting stuff for the garden my daughter and I, well, mostly my daughter, is making. C&G Country Cafe, 2 locations, Toms River Heating and Air Conditioning. Brooklyn Bistro, great neighborhood restaurant. The girls and I were there this past week. The food is consistently good. The service is terrific. The brewery and the distillery in downtown Toms River. If you're going to get booze, buy local. Patronize local. You don't need to get fancy schmancy brands from overseas. Red Rose Bakery in Silverton, designed to make you fat. The stuff is great. And when you need to work it off, this is a little bit outside this immediate neighborhood, Attila's Gym in Belmore, that's MAWR, New Jersey. Owner Ian Smith, the other owner is Frank. They stood up to tyranny, fascism, and the illegal closure of their business. They've been fined millions of dollars. They've paid hundreds of thousands in legal fees. And Ian Smith is running for Congress against Andy Kim. I cannot stress how important it is to elect someone like Ian Smith, who will not bow down to Nancy Pelosi, who will not vote with that corrupt planted, face tucked politician. How many facelifts has she had? And
she just hasn't found the right one.
Yeah.
That's it.
So we need to start from the grassroots. And I am going to try and have Ian Smith on this show with us to talk about his ideas. He is on Instagram if you want to follow his philosophy, which is pure American.
Now, I want to mention one thing in the beginning of our show. We always forget to do this, and I have to remember to do this. For all of our Barbara babes, please share our broadcast. That would be grand. It's a way for us to build our show bigger, invite more Barbara babes into the fold, and it would mean so much to me and Barbara. That would be great. So share this show.
So I want to start. I usually talk about politics and medicine and weave them together because medicine has become totally politicized if you're a younger physician. For us older physicians, we still believe in traditional medicine. But today I want to start with the war in Ukraine.
Oh.
Okay, I want to start with a Trump tweet. President Trump did tweet, and he said it took Congress 5 months to agree to $600 stimulus checks for Americans and 8 hours to send 13.6 billion to another country and also give themselves a 21% pay raise.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, go Congress.
Right.
That's why there's maybe 3 people there that don't need to get replaced.
Yeah, that's why hammers cost $1 billion at the White House, you know?
So let's talk about phase 1 of the Great Reset. The Great Reset is a movement to depopulate the earth, get in green energy, and the only way that can happen is if they destroy America. So phase 1 was with the pandemic, and it was used to accelerate economic collapse, so nations can build back better. So now you see that the guy with the diaper at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is part of this global conspiracy against the average person. And the phase 1 was to get us used to lockdowns, to get us to accept experimental medications, which make us less than human because of the alteration of DNA. And it facilitated the transfer of wealth from small and medium-sized private businesses to big corporations. Because of the lockdowns, many, many small businesses failed, including 41% of all minority businesses, but they're not racist. Phase 2 of this Great Reset is Russia versus Ukraine. And we've been fed tremendous disinformation about that. And what I tell you, I hope is true. But again, nobody really, really, really knows what's going on. But what they're trying to tell you is Putin, bad man, Zelensky, good man.
Oh, did you see the Putin's forced like they were tricking people into the stadium for him to hear him speak? And
well, we don't know because they don't have an independent news media, and neither does America. We were always the guys with the white hats, and we cannot anymore claim moral superiority. I believe our people can, but our government cannot, and certainly not our media.
Right.
So we know that in Ukraine, near the Russian border, there were biolabs with pathogens. Now, we know this because not only did the United States, Newland admit to it, there are documents that confirm this was there. And the buildings were there and the biolabs were built by Obama. So in addition, you have NATO encroaching or trying to make deals with Ukraine. And you see that with Burisma. Does anybody remember Burisma, the corrupt oil company in Ukraine, where Hunter Biden received $83,000 a month? And we know from his laptop, now confirmed by the New York Times, that Joe, the big guy, got half of that. Usually he only gets 10%, but when it comes to Burisma, he got half of that, $43,000. And his checking account and Hunter's were commingled so that Joe's bills were paid.
Right.
So Putin is really defending his country, and Ukraine is interesting because Eastern Ukraine identifies with Russia, Western Ukraine is made up of a bunch of old Nazis who fled Germany with the aid of the CIA, Alan Dulles, who gave immunity to the Nazis of the Ukraine from the Nuremberg trials. Now, isn't that interesting?
That's just perfect.
So before you decide what's true and what's not true, again, the U.S. is involved, and they're not necessarily the good guys. So the U.S. has been interfering, trying to turn Ukraine into a NATO nation, which is expressly forbidden by the Budapest Agreement in 1993. The CIA sponsored the Ukraine color revolution in 2013, and Putin has repeatedly said that he will not stand by while globalists take over the world. That being said, he's dealing with China, who believes they can take over the world. And it's a pretty big mess because people are fighting to get control while the little guy suffers. So the Russia-Ukraine fight is to disrupt the global supply chain, to exacerbate the fuel shortages and induce chronic levels of inflation. The World Economic Foundation, who is really behind the Great Reset, their goal is that we will own nothing and be happy. So private homes, private wealth, private anything will be given up or destroyed, and we will serve the masters, the billionaires, the globalists. So in lockstep with the Great Reset, policymakers have capitalized on the sanctions that have been put against Russia by accelerating the shift to green energy. Now, green energy is not enough to sustain the needs of the people, which is why they have to do this depopulation thing. Rest assured that the globalists and the so-called important people will have enough energy by fossil fuels if necessary. But part of the Great Reset with this green energy is to keep us cold in the winter, hot in the summer, and demoralized.
I just want to engage our chat a little bit here.
Okay.
I'd like to know what they would do to change things, make things better, like put something into place. If you can take one thing and put it into place to make things, the current predicament right now, better, what would you do? Because I'll mention them because because we're in a time right now. It's like, what the heck can you do?
Well, the problem is the leadership of the United States is completely corrupt, bought and paid for. Biden is a tool and a puppet for the globalists. He has severe dementia. Kamala is an incompetent, cackling fool who only knows how to say this delicately, sleep with someone to get her ways. And that's not going to work. She's ill-prepared. She's ignorant. She hasn't spent as much time before a European conference as I spend for each hour I spend here on Saturdays.
If she did the homework like you do, there wouldn't be a problem. She'd know what to say.
That's the problem with someone like Kamala Harris. She is a disgrace to professional women everywhere.
But you know what the problems she was having with her own staff is because she wanted, and I'm almost positive about this, she wanted them to do the homework for her, and then she chastises them when she puts her foot in her mouth.
She doesn't know what the homework is. She never had to do it. She's been given a pass. For someone like me, I became a surgeon in spite of the fact that I was a woman, not because of it, because no one cut me a break. I mean, there were some surgeons in the program who treated me equally, which is all I wanted. I didn't want anything special, but the vast majority tried to make me quit.
Well, here's a good one for the Barber Babes then. You're all powerful, strong, independent women. And then you watch the television news seeing someone like Kamala Harris just make a fool of herself on the international stage, what would you say to her if you could?
Quit. No, the thing is, and we're going to talk about women's rights.
Deborah said, "What leadership? Did I miss something?"
Yeah. So going ahead with this deception and the Great Reset, Build Back Better is a completely deceptive slogan, and it's meant to centralize power and reinvent capitalism through fairer and greener means. They're lying to us. The only thing that stands between world enslavement and freedom is a strong America. And that's why Biden was hired and promoted to bring America to her knees. And he's doing a very good job of it with all the executive orders and with the assistance of Nancy Pelosi. So also going with the Great Reset are food shortages to make us switch to synthetic plant-based alternatives and have like imitation meat. That's why Bill Gates, who thinks he's going to be on the top of this pile until China shoots him, has been buying up all the farmland so that you don't have access to beef. China has been the major benefactor because of the economic sanctions against Russia. And China believes that, and Xi Jinping, that he will be a world leader. And the whole thing of independent nations will be replaced with a global system led by an unelected consortium of leaders of industry, banking, and private financial institutions. So if you're not in that elite group, if you're not a billionaire, you're toast. So this consortium will decide on world management and not be accountable to anyone. So they wanted to do vaccine passports and medical tyranny. And thank God, some of the conservatives and red states in this country are fighting back. Biden and Pelosi are on board with this tyranny. They are working daily to destroy America. And I know my friend Winnie asked me if this is just stupidity, ignorance, and senility. Never mistake evil for mere ignorance. They are pure evil. They want the destruction of freedom, capitalism, the Bible, religion, and morality. They will be the new morality, and we will have 1984.
And you can kind of see the change now, what they put into place and how it's affected the American people. Crime waves are up, suicides. But I mean, just the crime itself on the streets, it's a horrible place to be now. And now you need somebody who is willing to make America great again, because we're not great right now. Not at all.
No, we're not great in education. We're last of the industrialized nations. We're not great in health. We are an unhealthy people, thanks to Fauci, Big Pharma, and Big Food. We are in deep trouble. And the government spending and the federal stimulus has tripled the national debt in less than 14 years. And the reason for this is to implement a universal basic income. It started with the COVID stimulus checks. And if they institute a universal basic income, they can have price controls across the board. If they have price controls, there's no incentive to produce, because the only incentive for production is capitalism. So if we have decreased production, then the government can put in rationing. And once they ration things and you only have like 3 to 5 days food and other supply, you cannot institute a rebellion. So the purpose of this is to...
Oh, that makes some great sense.
So they want to eliminate personal wealth. so you can't rise up. They want to reduce the population, and they can do it with starvation, poverty, and the Francine. And the government will become your mommy and daddy, and you'll be loyal to them. And once you're that suppressed, public rebellion is gone.
Government cheese. How bad have you missed it? Because it might just be in your future.
So, and we will never have another Spartacus. We will never have a rebellion. So the whole idea is to take America back from the grassroots up, not just local businesses, but local representatives, school boards, etc. Because we are last in education, because our teachers, starting with the teachers union and Randy Weinberg or Weinstein or whatever her name is, they are corrupt.
Now, I had a conversation with my friend, because St. Patrick's Day was just the other day, right?
Mhm.
He's a school teacher. Okay. He does, grade school level, elementary school. And I asked him how work was, and he says, dude, I cry every day. And I'm like, what do you mean you cry every day? And he says, like, these students, they just, the last 2 years, school was all but taken away from them. That time that you spend in the classroom with these teachers means everything. And then they keep bringing down the grading curves and
The
stuff.
standards.
Yeah, the standards. And so it's all he can do to try to bring these kids onto the level they're supposed to, but it's almost like swimming upstream.
So many of the teachers are there only for the benefits and the summer vacation. They're not there to teach,
Yeah.
and they're covering their incompetence by trying to convince the students that there are 36 different genders. You can be an animal.
Yeah,
You can use a
that's-
litter box, instead of teaching them that 2 and 2 is 4. We don't need college education. The colleges are just there to brainwash our kids.
Did you ever
They-
think you would live to see the day where people are identifying as a pussycat?
No, I found that out from a teacher.
Yeah.
And the fact is, that's why we are last in education, because of all the baloney going on.
Right.
So the virus and government funding, at least we had the Senate vote to defund Biden's mandates. The Supreme Court said that they were unconstitutional, but he didn't stop. He doesn't care about the Supreme Court. He doesn't care about the law. And there were 10 Republican senators that wrote a letter that they will oppose this tyranny. And they include Mike Lee of Utah, Ted Cruz, Rick Scott, Ron Johnson, Rand Paul, and 5 others. So the representatives in this bill demanded an accounting of COVID relief money already spent, and whatever's not spent, they wanted to use for other programs. So the Democrats refused to give an accounting, and Pelosi withdrew the COVID. They wanted to do an additional $13.6 billion for COVID relief, which we do not need. So there was such harsh criticism and opposition to this. She removed the COVID from that spending bill, and guess where she put the $13.6 billion?
Where?
That's what went to Ukraine
Uh,
in one fell swoop.
Now,
So
our girl Liz here,
yes,
she's got a good one for you. She says the far left were so happy when Twitter banned Trump because he had mean tweets. People don't realize that if they can take away a president's freedom of speech, then they can do it to you too. They're picking away at the amendments.
yes, they are. They are deciding what is free speech and what you can say and what you can't say. And so the COVID money was removed from the bill. The money was sent to Ukraine. Isn't it interesting that we're sending billions of dollars to Ukraine for them to defend our borders while our southern border is open. Tainted drugs are coming across, and we have record overdoses because of laced drugs. And because we didn't get that portion of COVID relief passed, well, we've got the mainstream media to start inducing fear. Oh, the virus is popping up here.
Yeah.
The virus is popping up there. So my question is, what happened to America? It's not where have you gone, Joe DiMaggio, is where is John Wayne? I mean, you have
brilliant.
we have these sniveling, fearful cowards.
Brilliant.
I mean, everybody here has seen people driving in their cars alone with masks on and gloves. Dude, you're alone in your car. What do you think is going to
That's
happen?
still happening.
It's still happening, and even I can't fix stupid. I mean, I'm a really good surgeon, but you can't fix stupid. You have people walking around in masks still.
Yeah.
You have teachers infecting the minds of our children instead of teaching them. And then you have Fauci infecting the bodies of our children with endless vaccines, with big food and the processed foods which addict them to sugar. You have big pharma saying that drugs are safe when we know they're not. So here's what happened. The Senate voted to repeal the CDC's mask mandate, including on planes. There was one Republican who voted against it. Can you guess who that was? Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney.
Another globalist in American clothing.
Yeah.
So this bill will not get to the House because Pelosi is going to block it. She's going to block a bill that releases us from a useless mask mandate. Okay?
Yeah.
So the thing on this article I read was contact your congressperson to tell them that this bill needs to be brought before the House so we can liberate our people. But guess what? In this district, if you contact your local congressperson, that's Andy Kim. And Andy Kim votes with Pelosi 99+% of the time. That's why we need to get him out. We need to get Ian Smith in because no one is going to tell Ian Smith what to think.
Yeah, there you go.
He is an American. He is a patriot. Andy Kim already has $3 million in his reelection campaign. I wonder where he got that money. And Ian Smith just has us.
Ian Smith, I mean, this is the kind of guy we need to embrace and have run our country. We've let the monkeys loose, and look what they've made of it. You know, we need somebody like him,
because we need to take America back, and that's got to start from the grassroots and the ground up. The CDC, Health and Human Services, and the entire medical field have become politicized by the executive branch and compromised by the pharmaceutical industry. So medical schools, universities, they all receive so much money from big pharma that they're producing doctors who don't know how to think, who can only push vaccines, whether they're good for you or not, or treatments that are going to make money for big pharma. For example, my specialty is a treatment of breast diseases and breast cancer. And I have often said that they changed the paradigm for treatment. Last month, there was an article in the medical literature that neoadjuvant chemotherapy, in other words, chemotherapy given before surgery, has increased the cure rates. This is a bald-faced lie. The only time neoadjuvant chemotherapy has been shown to increase the cure rate is for inflammatory breast cancer, which can't be resected at the outset. If you can do surgery first, that is your best bet. And the only indication for neoadjuvant chemotherapy is for unresectable breast cancer. They started fooling people early because, in addition to unresectable breast cancer, they said, oh, well, you can use it to shrink the tumor so you can do breast conserving surgery. Well, the problem is that while you're getting that chemotherapy, let's say you want to shrink the tumor, 1/3 of tumors do respond to the chemo and disappear. 1/3 shrink a little but don't disappear, and 1/3 don't respond at all. So for those 2/3, that cancer is there to metastasize while you're on chemotherapy. And then you get to be in a commercial that says, I have metastatic breast cancer, but I'm relentless. And then once again, big pharma makes money off your misery.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay. So I learned something this week while I was, doing stuff for the show. So the vaccine industry, which is not just for the current virus, but for influenza, for the Pneumovax or Prevnar 13 that someone had asked me about last week, for shingles vaccine, and for the vaccines that we're supposed to jab our kids with. The labs that produce vaccines.
Or Francine's.
Right. Well, this is in general.
Yeah.
They need to be kept up and running. You can't shut them down and then reactivate them when there's a need because it takes some time. So because of the need to be Johnny on the spot, that's why the recommendation that the entire population be vaccinated against whatever bug they're using. That's like influenza, pneumonia, shingles. And this entire thing has become a cash cow for major annual subsidies. And once any Francine is dubbed the standard of care, it is never reevaluated. And I give the example of HPV vaccine, which pediatricians are pushing on kids, whether their parents want it or not. And it is not effective against HPV. And in fact, it does cause cancer. But despite that fact, pediatricians continue to push it to unsuspecting patients and parents, giving them the disinformation that it will help. We have seen this with many Francines that have been developed that are not useful to the patient, but are quite lucrative to Big Pharma and Tony Fauci. And it brings me to our first quote of the day. And that is, the quote is, one of the first duties of the physician is to educate the masses not to take medicine. And that's from William Osler, who is the father of modern medicine.
Oh.
He was a medical doctor. He was also William Halsted's personal physician. William Halsted, who has been vilified by recreating history, is the father of the radical mastectomy. And although we don't do that operation now, he was the first to get a 50% cure rate for breast cancer.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it was a big and horrible operation, but remember, it was the 1880s and there was no adjuvant chemotherapy or radiation. And in that time period, if you got breast cancer, you died. And William Halsted, who was not a misogynist, who actually loved women, he went to the lab and figured out the Halsted radical mastectomy. and he did cure 50% of women. The next quote is, our medical system is based on masking symptoms, quote unquote, managing illness, and getting patients on a hamster wheel of pill after pill. So really, medicine in the early 1900s was about wellness. That changed with Rockefeller and the oil industry into pill pushing and medication stuff. So we would be better served by taking a walk, losing weight, getting healthy, getting sunshine, all the things if you're as old as I am, that your mom might have told you back in the day. Guess what? She was right. And the idea of taking a pill for every ailment, everything out there has induced poor health in the American public. And the CDC is in the business of pushing Francines to make money, and they are on a mission to stop vaccine hesitancy.
Now we got our girl Liz has something great about that. She says they're already starting to talk about a fourth Francine, second booster, because they aren't sure how long the current Francine and booster will last. It's been 15 months since the first jab. What jab has ever been done this way?
Okay, I'm caught. I haven't gotten to that yet. Give me a few minutes, okay? Because I've got that covered.
She's got it. Stay tuned, Liz.
Okay, so all Francines have risk. Some have more risk than others. That's why mandates are a violation of your human rights. So, because of Russia and Ukraine, we haven't seen Tony Fauci for 2 weeks.
Yeah, right.
But he popped up a day or two ago. He said, and I quote, "We're not done with this when it comes to vaccines." So this coincides with the lobbying the FDA and HHS are receiving, which just started, for the fourth dose. So you were just 2 sentences ahead of me. So the thing is that this has become totally oppressive. The pandemic is over. Omicron has conferred natural immunity to the people who had the virus. And this thing with the jab or your job is an obscenity, and it's terrorism. And in the military, what they're doing is getting rid of all the people who have any experience for the express purpose of leaving America defenseless. This is all about persecuting citizens. You have criminals and illegals coming up through the southern border. We don't know who they are. They're bringing diseases and parasites. They're bringing drugs that are killing Americans.
They're bringing violence as well.
We have the military, experienced military, being discharged, getting a general discharge and not an honorable discharge, so they won't be able to get military benefits. We have judges, godless judges, screwing people on exemptions, saying they can choose to work elsewhere. Our legal system is completely broken when judges create the law. They are ignorant, they are politically motivated, they are biased, and many of them are on the take. Even the current Supreme Court nominee is biased, inept, politically corrupt, and she has allowed child pornographers to go free. She is godless on top of it. So in this fourth booster request, why has our media not directed any attention to it? I mean, we have My Babes know what's going on. So where's our mainstream media? Well, I found out just this morning, as I was trying to prepare for this show, that documents were just obtained by FOIA. That's the Freedom of Information Act. And documents were just obtained. In 2021, Congress appropriated $1 billion for the Secretary of Health to, quote unquote, strengthen vaccine confidence in the United States. So what does that mean? It means that hundreds of news organizations were paid by the federal government to advertise for the Francines, to promote interviews with Fauci, you name it. The Biden administration purchased ads on TV, radio, print, and social media. I mean, whoa, this is like, are you kidding me? So Pfizer, under court order 2 weeks ago, released the documents detailing the amount of deaths and adverse reactions in the first 3 to 6 months of the Francine. There were 1,200 deaths and 150,000 adverse reactions. Not one report or analysis by the mainstream media. And anyone who mentioned it in their newscasts was labeled by Homeland Security as dealing in MDM, mis, dis, and malinformation. So once you engage in that, you are a domestic terrorist and subject to arrest by Homeland Security or the FBI. I would like to say that our intelligence agencies have been turned against the citizens for independent thought, for wanting to, keep your own body intact and not subject to poisonous injections. And they're very good about suppressing the citizens. The illegal aliens and criminals who have come in are not subject to Francine mandates, laws, masks, or anything else. They are free to roam. They are free to do what they want. They are free to turn America into a third world country. So that's why Biden is committing treason on a daily basis. And unless people are held accountable, we cannot take our country back. And as my shirt says today, can you see my shirt?
Yeah. It says America runs on freedom since 1976 or 1776.
1776.
Yeah, that's the spirit.
Yeah. And the thing is, that's what has to be crushed. Our inalienable rights, our thirst for freedom and independence, and Biden and Harris and Pelosi and Schiff and Schumer are in on the destruction. They believe they are better than us. They believe they are elite.
Yeah, Liz says, and no one, unless you're awake or woke, questions that.
Correct.
Yeah.
And in terms of being woke, I want to mention the wonderful records set by a trans woman swimmer.
Right.
If anyone saw the podium, she looked, or he looked, whatever it is, looked like the Incredible Hulk next to normal women.
Right.
This is an obscenity. This is discrimination against women. This is not a woman. This is someone, I don't even know if it's really trans. This is someone who is doing this, who couldn't compete in the male world, but figured he would compete in the female world. And this is an abomination. This is, and Jeremy asked me earlier, where are the feminists?
Where are the feminists? Because like I said, 20 years ago, if I called a woman a cupcake, they'd be coming out of the woodwork in droves. right after me, you know?
So now they're so interested in being a leftist, woke, and making it up as they go along. They're forgetting about basic
Yeah.
human rights.
When we actually need feminists the most, they're gone. Where are they? And as far as these men taking a, appropriating what it is to be a woman without asking, without earning it whatsoever, from all different angles, women are being attacked. You've lost your breasts. There are chests now only, so you're chest feeding and you get chest cancer. You don't even have babies anymore. They're called they-bies. Everything is being stripped from women. Where are the feminists? I don't get it.
Well, in terms of the truth, there are only two genders. Everything else is make believe. I have nothing against truly trans people. They're less than 0.5% of this country. This is a majority rule country. Bathrooms should be men and women.
Yes.
And sports should be men and women, and you don't have any crossovers.
Now, I looked it up the definition here because I said, what happened to especially in sports with these men that can only compete with women? What happened to the rule of fair play? Okay, now here's the definition. Fair play is a virtue of rule adherence whereby players and athletes abide by the rules of competition. It is also a commitment to contest in a good spirit and encourages a good attitude towards sports that includes respect, modesty, generosity, and friendship. The thing is that these guys are not respecting the women they're competing against. And it's an obscenity to me.
Neither are the officials.
Yeah.
This is an attack on women, and it cannot be allowed to continue. And as for the spirit of fair play, we need to teach manners again.
Yeah.
Please, thank you. Open the door. I mean, the only place people open the door for you is at Wawa.
I will say I open a door for everybody. I stand there holding the door open for longer than I should with getting 5 or 6 people through, because it is a little kindness that is lost in this world today. And I'm always about kindness.
But these children who walk into the house and go to their cell phones or plop down without acknowledging other people, that has to stop. This has to be from the ground up. We need to teach our children to be little human beings. Little boys become gentlemen, little girls become ladies. There's nothing wrong with being a gentleman or a lady and having some manners.
And and the sad thing is, again, in this woke world we're living in, we're not even, ladies and gentlemen, the show's about this. No, you can't say that. You can't say that anymore.
That is what has to end,
Yeah.
all this wokeness, because there's more of us out there than them, but they yell louder, and they've been allowed to do things like burn police buildings, and they've got prosecutors funded by Soros who allow these people to go free, while the people on January 6th are still in solitary confinement, being denied due process. You have judges appointed for political reasons and not for competency.
They're trying to pass laws like where people blanked out again. Go ahead.
They're trying to eliminate standards of excellence. I understand from my favorite librarian that they are trying to eliminate the bar exam. So not only are you going to have a stupid lawyer, you're going to have a lawyer who doesn't know the law presenting to a judge who may not know the law. In the state of New Jersey, the judges are appointed by the governor. So we have a fascist, tyrannical governor who thinks he's a king, appointing judges who have no concept of morality, law, or religion.
Yeah, that was it. Passing laws to teach 5-year-olds what transgenderism is. Now, I'm a parent. Okay, I'm a dad. All right. The one thing as a parent, you don't talk about sex around little ones. Why a 5-year-old needs to know about transgenderism? I wonder if that isn't just a recruitment sort of thing. Let's recruit them young to become confused. Yeah.
So this should not be taught in kindergarten. In kindergarten, you learn about being polite, not throwing sand, and behaving yourself. That's why these public schools, which are have become politically powerful because of the NJEA and the teachers union, they have to be cut off and defunded.
Yeah.
We need to have charter schools where real teachers want to teach children real topics like how to add, how to write a sentence, how to speak English so you don't sound like an idiot. Because when you grow up, you're going to need those basic skills, and you're not going to need them for these colleges and universities, which are corrupted by China and the Thousand Talents organization. All these children should learn a trade, because we're going to come to a point, what they're trying to do is to eliminate the people who actually know how to do something, right? The people who can fix machines, the people who can create machines, the people who can fix a flat tire. Not that we'll be able to afford the gas to make it run, but there are the doers and there are the fakers, okay? And even knowing how to suture a wound is becoming a lost art. People don't know how to do that. They use glue. Because they don't know what they're doing. And the people in medicine have become incompetent. And I can speak to that about surgery as well. We used to say to cut is to cure, but you have a whole generation of surgeons who don't have a clue.
Yeah.
And the other thing was you only heal with stainless steel. They don't know how to handle a knife. They don't know how to help their patient. They need to form a committee to have different opinions on what to do.
I was talking to Dr. Jasper Wednesday about this, and we were talking about what it was like when he was young, becoming a doctor and stuff, and learning the whole trade and stuff, So he had the choice, like, do I learn my stuff at this teaching hospital, or do I throw myself into the trenches, right? Get my hands dirty, so then when something should come up, I can act fast. That's the path he chose. But so many of these younger doctors are being ushered into this softer way, and I worry.
Well,
Barb.
What happened was that there was a very, very famous lawsuit involving the daughter of a very rich man who she was a party girl. She came into Mount Sinai having taken drugs and alcohol and who knows what. And she wasn't even able to tell a doctor what she had taken. Maybe she didn't remember. She was hypotensive and chalky and drugged. And she died in the emergency room, okay? And her father was grief-stricken, and he blamed the doctor in the emergency room, who he alleged was too tired to properly take care of his daughter and figure out what was wrong. And from that lawsuit, that young doctor never practiced again.
Jesus.
And from that lawsuit, they convened what was called the Bell Commission. And Bertram Bell, who I knew, because I go back a long ways, was a doctor who he just hated the institution of medicine. And most of all, he hated surgeons and surgery. And he hated the arrogance and the can-do aspect and the whole thing about surgeons. And so the Bell Commission decided that doctors in training, interns and residents, couldn't work more than 80 hours a week. Now, when I was an intern and resident, most of my call nights were every third night, but some of my rotations were still every other night. That's 36 on, 12 off. And the whole idea of working that much, so you were working between 120 and 140 hours a week. But the whole idea of working like that and almost living in the hospital was that you were exposed to everything, you learned everything in an emergency. You knew, even if you were sleepy, you knew what to do because it was ingrained over and over and over again. And so the 80-hour work week impacted surgeons the most. And surgical training is 5 years. And at the end of 5 years, with the new 80-hour work week, not one graduate was able to go into practice because they didn't know enough. They didn't know how to do anything. It wasn't like my training. And general surgery, which was the king of all residencies, suffered the most. And at the end of 5 years, since these graduates couldn't do anything, they invented fellowships as an excuse for 2 years of additional training. That's how you got fellowship-trained breast surgeons who learned how to do 2 or 3 operations over the course of the next 2 years. And you got fellowship-trained hernia surgeons and colon and rectal and you name it. So what they did is they split up general surgery so that these graduates, each one would learn how to do 2 or 3 operations. I mean, back in the day, I did all of them. I don't do them now for various reasons, but if I'm in an emergency situation, you bet I can do the old stuff. You never forget. You know, when you've done 10,000, you don't forget. I mean, it just comes back. But these people never learned.
Yeah, but see, that's the kind of doctor I want to go to. I want to send my loved ones to, is doctors like, you, Dr. Gabriel Jasper, Dr. Katchmar here.
Yes, well,
Yeah.
we're all from the generation of proper training, but these new people are not. And that's why there's a concerted effort to end private practice, to destroy people like me, Dr. Jasper, Dr. Katchmar, because they can't have people who know the truth, who can question the current situation. And it is terrible because it is very hard to stand up, because the person who stands up gets hammered down. Old Japanese proverb.
Yeah.
But it is necessary to stand up because it is what can make America great again. So I'm not the only one who has to do it. Each and every one of us.
I was saying to Dr. Katchmar yesterday, it's like, it's doctors like him and you and Dr. Jasper. Remember that old that vodka commercial, this, and then, a good doctor, priceless. That's what it is. If you guys out there, you find doctors like these amazing people that I am very happy to be friends with, and honored to be friends with. And I know what these guys do for their patients. And if only you knew what I knew, you wouldn't hesitate. You would grab hold of these doctors and you would never let go.
So here's the problem, though. Doctors in private practice focus on their patients, on educating their patients and giving them a choice of treatment. And the choice may not involve the most expensive treatment. Employed doctors are forced to recommend the most expensive treatments for their patients so that the administrators can get their Christmas bonuses. So it's not about health, it's about money. And private practitioners still care about health, and they're not taken in by the brainwashing of Fauci and Big Pharma. And most patients want to be treated respectfully and be given a choice as to their treatment. They get a role in the decision making about what's being done to their bodies. But if you go to an employed physician, It is the party line. One size fits all, no choice, no education. Here, you just do this. You don't have the right to know any options or the right to choose your treatment. So that's what has to be destroyed so that the hospitals, big pharma, administrators, and insurance companies can make more money. And we have an administration currently in the White House that is on the take. You have a president who's being paid by China via his son, who is pimped out to do this.
Yeah.
We have
He's a disgusting human being, that Hunter.
so cackling Kamala. She's married to a guy who got all sorts of lucrative deals in his law firm from her not prosecuting different things.
Corinne, sorry, Corinne. She says, I was blessed the day I walked into her office.
Thank you for that. I am blessed to have such a wonderful practice. The people who come to see me, I mean, they're great. They're great. They sustain me. They pray for me. They make me a better doctor because I want to serve them, because it is a privilege to serve. But new doctors don't consider it. It's just a paycheck. It's just a job.
When can I buy my Ferrari, or when can I buy my my jet boat or something like that? Yeah.
And the reason, for example, employed breast surgeons get a salary that is phenomenal because they draw in the patients, they prescribe the most expensive treatments. They get a nurse navigator to navigate you through those expensive treatments, and the word cure has become a forbidden four-letter word.
Corinne followed it up with, and she only cares for her patients. Her patients come first every time. She doesn't care about money whatsoever. Her patients are going to come first. That's great, right?
That is really great, and I thank you for that. And I've lived my life that way, and I've taken the hits for it. But they were wrong. I was right, and that's the way we have to bring America back. Everyone has to stand up for truth, justice, and the American way, and then we can bring America back. And I did notice that the state of Nevada is going to paper ballots, and they're firing Dominion machines, which are corrupt. And we have to do that in New Jersey, in spite of the fact that we have a king in charge, King Philip. And we take America back one step at a time. We need to be bloodied but unbowed.
Yes, ma'am.
Because they're going to come after us. And we take America back and we can fix what's wrong with the world. But we can't do it. Charity begins at home. We need to start here. We need to build the wall, kick out the aliens that are illegally here. They mean us no good. They have no intention of becoming Americans like the people who come here legally. And that's what we have to do. It has to be on all fronts.
And as parents, we got to start raising little gentlemen, little ladies. Okay. We got to start teaching them tolerance, because there is none in this world today. Tolerance and forgiveness and kindness, and show them that doing so, there's a great reward inside for being kind to somebody. One of our babes was she gets really angry or just annoyed if a gentleman doesn't open the door for her when she's clearly coming there. She's right. People should show that little kindness and stuff, and it doesn't cost a single penny, and it's never gone up in price.
It is part of what makes America great. So anyway, The weather reporters were surprisingly wrong. It is a beautiful weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I want you all to get out there,
Hmm.
take a walk, get some vitamin D on your skin. Remember, vitamin D3 helps protect you. And you can get it either by the sun or with a pill. But I want you to all get out there and be healthy. And again, I thank you very much for giving me your time today and your attention.
Yeah.
I love you all. And so this is Dr. Barbara Schneider on Radio Free America signing off. Have a great day. New Jersey, Toms River, Ocean County, all of America, be free.
And for more information about Dr. Barbara Schneider and all the things we've talked about, please go see barb.com. Why not? What the heck?
That's my website.
What's your phone number?
And if you need a real doctor, 732-244-2060. I don't just do breast diseases and breast cancer. Have a great weekend, America.
All right. And for more information about Dr. Kachmar and everything he does, because he is the patron of our studio here, please go to JerseyShoreFootandLegCenter.com. Thanks, everybody. Be kind. Remember that.